Hey guys, it's Courtney Burnett here, and I'm so excited to have Michelle here with us. She's going to be introducing you to tapping. It's something that was new to me this year, but who doesn't need more resources in 2020 to deal with stress and anxiety? You can find Michelle at her website. It's down below. She's a life coach and EFT practitioner, helping you feel empowered as you heal through tapping. And she also has a course on tapping and to release anxiety. So I'm so excited to have you here, Michelle. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm super excited. I found coaching and EFT or tapping through just my personal need for it. So I dealt with anxiety my entire life, and I have an older sister with disabilities. It's similar to Down syndrome, but it's not. They don't have a diagnosis for her. But she had a lot of seizures growing up, a lot of things that felt really scary. And as a young child watching that, I was constantly worried about her, worried about my mom, worried about everything. And not just with my sister, but life in general. And that carried on into my adult life. And it wasn't until after my third child that I realized something's got to change. Like, I can't keep living like this. And I found coaching, and that changed my life. I was able to change my thoughts, and all of us know about like reframe our thoughts and all of that. But I think the missing part for a lot of people is the body, in working with the body and letting the body know you're safe. And that is what tapping does. And that's why you can see such massive change, because you're not just trying to talk yourself out of feeling anxious. You can really actually calm your body down and help your body feel calm and safe.
That is awesome. And that's one thing as a mom who's raising a child with disabilities and just having a lot of things that I can't control. And even though I love to control scenarios, I'm 40 now and I'm realizing that I cannot control them. And the only thing I can control is my reaction to them. And for a long time, I didn't have good strategies for it. And really, I've tried counseling for other things, and there's a place for counseling, traditional counseling. But what I found was that I was much like you, just that feeling of my heart pounding, feeling really stressed out, looking ahead to the week with all the medical appointments, knowing certain appointments were going to be harder than others, like the ones where my daughter gets injections, and just having a racing heart and thinking that I didn't want to be like I didn't need medicine every day. And it seemed to come at times that I wasn't even expecting it. And then there I would be with my racing heart and just feeling completely like kind of frozen, like I couldn't move forward with my day. And through working with you, I have a strategy now when I feel triggered by something, or I'm like, oh, my racing heart is joining me today. I have a strategy for dealing with that. So I'm really excited for you to introduce to the people here on my page about what tapping is and how they can use it in their everyday life whenever they need it.
Yes, I love what you said about just noticing, oh, my racing heart is here. So it's just almost like you just recognize it and you're the observer of it, right? That I think is such an important concept to understand, is not really attaching to anything, just observing it and recognizing it. So do you want me to kind of show the basics of tapping and how you do it?
Yeah, or even what is tapping. I'm sure a lot of people have never, when I've talked to some of my friends about it, I'm like, oh, you need tapping. They're like, what is tapping? So what is tapping?
Yeah.
And the tapping points?
Yeah. So tapping is not tap dancing, right? Like we're not tap dancing, but you're actually tapping, like you're tapping on different acupressure points or pressure points on your body. And these points connect to your entire system. So different points, like under your eye connects to your stomach. And so all of these different points connect to your body. And so as you're tapping on the points, you're sending a message to your entire system, as well as the amygdala in your brain, which is like our smoke detector that's constantly looking for danger. And it's sending the message that in this moment, you are safe. And so what happens, like you said, when you start thinking about your week and you just freeze, that's the fight or flight response showing up. That's that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system responding to the stress. And so when that body system activates, you start tapping, and that sends the message, I'm actually calm and safe. So it creates a little bit of a disruption in this autonomic nervous system response of we've got to run, we've got to flee, we've got to fight this situation, to, okay, let's come back to safety and let's look at this in a different way. So tapping, you literally just tap like 5 to 7 times or whatever feels right, but I'll show you the different points. So the side of your hand, and you can do it with me, and you just tap here. And then there's different things and phrases that you can say, and we can get into that later if you'd like, but you tap here, you tap on your eyebrows, so the inside of your eyebrows, and then on the outside of your eyes. And you can do this with 2 hands or with 1, whatever feels comfortable for you. I use 2, but you don't have to. Tapping under your eyes, under your nose, on your chin, your collarbone, under your arm. This is where people are like, what is this? Like, this is feeling weird. And then on top of your head. So there's, however you feel comfortable doing it. Again, you can use 2 fingers, 3 fingers. There's not a specific right way to do it. I find a lot of people hesitate to use this technique because they don't want to do it wrong. And so it's really important to know you can't do it wrong. If you miss a spot, it's okay. If you stay here for 5 minutes, that's great too. So there's not a wrong way to do it. And I actually have a printable that you can get with all of the tapping points on it. So if you're trying to remember them all, you can get all of that on my Instagram or website.
Yep. And right below here on the banner is Michelle's Instagram, and she does really cute videos that walk you through scenarios. And this can be used at different types of the day too, and for getting ready for sleep. So I know as a mom, just a mom in general, going over your to-do list for the next day, thinking about the task you have, sometimes it's hard for me to calm my racing brain to get ready for sleep. And so you can actually tap before bed to help calm your nervous system and get you ready for a good night's rest too, which is really awesome. Because a lot of people I know, especially my mom friends, are like, I can't turn my brain off. I just have so much on my plate. And it's hard for them to get to sleep. And then they get even less sleep than they were already going to get because they couldn't go to sleep right away. So
yes, it's a great, so I love to do before I sleep. Well, there's 2 things with that you can do. One, like when that brain is just going, write everything down. Just set the timer for 2 or 3 minutes, write down all those thoughts as fast as you can. And then you can just go over those. So as you're tapping, you can just read your list. Like, I have too much to do, all the appointments that I have to do, there's not enough time. Whatever those thoughts are, say them out loud and give them some space instead of keeping them inside and just like racing around in there. And then take your piece of paper with all those thoughts. Conveniently, I had paper here, but take it and like literally rip it up. That gives your brain evidence. This is out of my head. I can let it go. And even as you're tapping, maybe you've kind of talked about the things that you're feeling anxious about. Go through it a couple times. And then you can do a round where it's like, it is safe to rest. Time is abundant. There will always be enough time for all the things I need to do. I am safe in this moment now. And you can just go through and let your body know that in this present moment, as you're going to sleep, all of these things, there's nothing you can do about them. So just rest. And then the next day, you'll be so much better off to tackle the day. That's the perfect situation. It may not like alleviate all of the stress, but I think an important thing with healing is to, if you imagine a ladder and you're down here at a 10, just like, I can't sleep, I'm going to go crazy, to even if you can come up to a 9, that's huge success. And that's something to celebrate, because the nervous system won't totally change overnight. But as you gradually introduce these new techniques, as you show your body a different way, over time, that will change. So be patient with your process and don't be critical if you're like, well, this didn't work. I still feel stressed. Just notice, even if there's a tiny change, sometimes there's drastic changes, sometimes there's not. And whatever your experience is perfect for you in that moment.
Yeah, and my big aha moment was, I had done tapping with you, but then when I had that moment of just kind of like getting ready for work, the kids had gotten on the bus and just thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much to do, and just feeling that flood of racing heart and not knowing what to do first. And I said, I'm going to just take 5 minutes. I'm going to tap through and see what happens. And in that moment, my list didn't change. Like you said, I still had the same amount of work. It didn't magically like go away. But what did go away was my pounding heart and my just kind of racing mind. And I was able to go, okay, what's the next right thing? And I was able to do that. And I was like, whoa, that was really cool. Because before I would just carry that around all day, and that's taking away energy you could be putting somewhere else. When you're putting energy into just that anxious feeling or your racing mind, it's taking your energy away from playing with your kids. Or maybe you feel snappy because you're stressed out. We tend to snap at people around us when we're feeling like we're carrying too much around. And so I found that when I'm stressed, it inevitably leaks over into my family life. And so having something that I can go and take 5 minutes for me and come out and be a nicer mom, that's a win for everybody, and those situations happen. Like just last week, I had a doctor's office was closed. I arrived for our appointment. Nobody was there. I was livid. And I just carried that all the way home, driving around, just feeling angry about the no-show. And then I was like, okay, my husband came home. He's like, have you regrouped? I was like, well, maybe I should go do that, because I was still just like so mad about it. So having a regrouping strategy is awesome. And we think about that for our kids sometimes, like, oh, I want to help them, but we need help too. And I think as adults, it's okay to ask someone for help or explore a new tool that you didn't previously have in your toolbox. And that's something that you can then have available for your kids, but for yourself, whatever the situations come up, you have something to help you deal with it.
100%. I use tapping for myself probably more than I use it with my kids, but I model it for them. Like they'll see me just start tapping and they'll be like, okay. But what's so cool about that is we co-regulate as humans, and especially with our kids, their nervous system picks up on what our system is putting out. So if we feel anxious, that in turn creates maybe a little bit of an unsettled feeling for others. We're all responsible for our own experience. I totally recognize that. But especially as our kids, they rely on us to kind of create that felt sense of safety. So if you're feeling like I don't have time to do this for myself, or I'm so busy, especially as a caregiver, you don't have a lot of time for you, but letting your brain know this will actually give me more time. Just like you said, like it will help you in so many ways. And as you regulate, as your nervous system feels more calm and safe, that changes the whole environment. And so it really is such a win-win for everybody. And I recognized a lot with my mom, as taking care of my sister, and me and my sister, my older sister with special needs, and then my sister and I, she felt guilty taking care of herself. And it was like, I don't have enough time for that. But it is so important to take that time for you, even if it is 2 or 3 minutes. And you can just slip away in the bathroom, do it in there, or just do it right there in front of your kids so they can see that and experience that as well. So
yeah, and Kimberly is watching, and she says kids learn from what we do, not what we say we do. And so again, modeling that I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's also giving permission. It's okay for you to feel overwhelmed, and how can that help? And I know for me, my son has he has a challenging time dealing with his strong emotions or unexpected things that might come up that feel really frustrating. And I know I shared the story with you, and I was able to get him on the phone while I was at work and talk him through it. I said, why don't you go to your room for a minute? Okay, get out your tapping book. And I got him the kids version of one of the tapping books. And he just did a couple pages. And then he called me back and he says, I'm feeling calm. I'm ready to leave my room. And again, that toolbox thing, before, a couple months ago, I didn't have that in my toolbox. And I was trying to use other things to help him have some strategies for when he became super frustrated or was just feeling like, where do I put all these emotions that I'm having? And we know that 2020 has been a year for everybody, especially our kids. They've had to deal with so much unexpected change, things that were going to happen next week didn't happen. And where do they put all of those emotions? That usually shows up for a lot of our kids with behaviors. So we start seeing a behavior we never saw before, but we realize, oh my gosh, that's because they have all these emotions and they don't have the words to express all that they're feeling. So having this available to help them explore that and have a strategy is just so powerful.
It's so powerful. And it's empowering for your kids to know that they can do something on their own. They're not dependent on anyone else to use something to calm themselves down. And a lot of times when we're in that, overwhelmed state, that fight or flight response, our logical thinking has shut down, which is important if we're actually in danger, because at that point, all we need to do is get to safety. But when we're not, we kind of need that logical mind. So if you're trying to logically talk your child through a meltdown, that part of their brain is not even working. So that's where tapping is so powerful, and your son experienced it, is let's just show the body we're safe. And once the body feels safe through the tapping, then we can logically think about this and talk. But that's why I think it's so frustrating. And I would find this with my kids before I had these tools too, is like, you're okay, let's talk about this. And it's like, there's no talking when you've already reached that point. And then you both just get more frustrated. So exactly. I love that your son does that.
So tell us a little bit about your course that you have out. I'm going to put it up here on the below there, and the tapping course you have for anxiety. So what's in there, and how could one of our viewers use that to help them?
Absolutely. So my course is, it's like the foundation for tapping. So if you've never done it before, this is the perfect course for you. It will show you step by step how to do it and different ways to use it, with words, with phrases, with just body sensations, as well as, and not just addressing anxiety, but positive affirmations as well. And then so it outlines all of that. And then I also have in there some guided ones. So when you're working with somebody doing EFT or tapping, I say something and then you repeat it. So that way your brain is really able to just settle into the moment, and you're not trying to think about what to say and think about what comes next. So I have some guided ones in there that you can follow along with. So even if you know the basics of tapping or EFT, this is still a great course because it has those guided ones for you as well. It's focused on anxiety because that's what I'm sure a lot of us have felt. But even if you're not dealing with anxiety, you can replace that really easily with whatever that heavy emotion or experience is for you. So if you're thinking, well, I'm not really anxious, I'm just angry, it's a great course for anybody that is wanting to work through a strong emotion and utilizing the body to do that. So that's the course. It's $27. I'm doing a little switcheroo with my page today. So if you can't get it from Instagram or my website, send me a DM, just message me and I'll make sure that I get you the link. But tomorrow everything will be situated and available. So
awesome. And I know it comes with printables. I'm a visual learner, so you get the videos, the printables. And then follow Michelle over on her Instagram page. She does short videos in her stories and in her feed. You can become accustomed with it and then connect with her if you have questions about it or how you could use it with your kids or whatever those are. She's available. And make sure that as a mom and a caregiver that you are taking care of yourself and giving yourself tools, because what ends up happening when we don't take care of ourselves is our body starts showing up in other ways, whether that's your back hurting, constant pain in your neck. Those are your body's way of telling you that you are carrying on too much and you need to release it. And since I started tapping, I had chronic pain in my neck, and I had just decided that that was just going to be a part of me. And that must be because I'm getting to be 40 and I just have this constant just hurting in my neck. And I started doing tapping, and I went to my chiropractor, and he's like, what are you doing different? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, we've never been able to get you adjusted that way the first try because you're always way too tight. I'm like, I know. I said, the only thing I can think of is I started tapping. And he was like, tell me more about that. So him just noticing that the tightness in my neck had changed was just an outside affirmation of what I could already tell was happening in me. So invest in yourself, follow Michelle, and give yourself some more toolbox to use with your kids. Was there anything else you wanted to share, Michelle, before we hop off?
That's it. I'm so excited. I absolutely love working with you. The only thing I would want to share is just you are amazing. And I love hearing your success stories and just how I feel like with you, you've just gone all in with complete belief that this will work, working through that resistance. And so I would say follow Courtney as well for more inspiration on working through that, because it's so possible for everyone. It absolutely is. And resistance shows up and it's pushing through that. And I love hearing your stories. So.
Well, thank you. And I think it's really important. I know that when it comes in waves, I feel like with my daughter, and then of course my other kids and what they need, and feeling that, am I enough, like your mom experienced, like, I need to give time to my other kids, so I don't have time for me. I love this technique because it's easy. It's free for you to do once you learn how to do it. And then you have the benefit of working with somebody if you want to work through specific issues, but it's something you can take with you in the car. I know on one of your videos, you talked through how you could do it with through your fingers if you didn't want to tap, depending on your location. So again, just figuring out those different tools, how to use it, and just realizing that I could live a more peaceful life, and not one that always felt like my mind was racing. And I want to give that gift to other moms, especially moms who are also caregivers, because they carry more on their plate than they will even let people realize. And they do more than they might even think they do in a given day. And so they need that time to rest their mind, give their body a way to regroup. And this is a strategy that I felt like I had to bring to them. I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't share with them something that was working so well for me and my family. So I hope you guys follow Michelle. Stay here on Facebook with me. Follow me on Instagram as well. I do stories and different things there that give daily tips on different things that are working for me. So thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.